All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mic Check. I just call it the folks that are just viewing this for the first time. What this desk is in this forum is just a space where we could be vulnerable men, open up, we talk about certain topics, be very transparent with each other and with you along the way. So hopefully we can get to a point where we can start fielding in some questions, but other than, we're going to get some normal conversations going between me and my brothers, and we're going to take it from there. But just to start out, I'm DB, and I got my man Josh, got my man Doc, and I got my man Zach. Appreciate y'all, and welcome in once again. I'm gonna pass it over to my guy Doc.
Cool. All right, man. What's good, everybody? So for real, we just gonna kind of dive into it. This segment that we on to this episode is entitled pretty much "Leading While Bleeding," and so the cost of leading through pain or struggle, right? And so we're gonna dive into some of the questions there that we have for today. Hopefully, it can resonate with some of the answers that we're able to provide here. So cool. So the first one that we have is like. This one is I think it's a layered question, to be completely honest with you. So I think fellas just approach it, as best as you can for real. But what does bleeding mean to you in the context of leadership? So is it emotional, spiritual, physical, or all the above?
For me,
It's a layered one over there.
I think it could be a combination of all though. I mean, at its core, bleeding means something, whether that's a fluid or gas or otherwise, it's escaping from a closed system. So I think leadership being when you're in leadership, you're that system. So leading while bleeding essentially doesn't always mean that you're hurt or injured. I mean, it can be you are just pouring into those around you, right? So emotionally, I might have to dig deep to help someone through a tough spot, or physically, I might need to step in and get my hands dirty to accomplish something that, technically is my responsibility. But as a leader, do I stand behind and watch you struggle, right? Or do I give up a little bit of blood for the greater good of the team, okay? Or is that the mission or the relationship? So to me, again, like I said, I think it's a combination of all those things.
So
Yeah, nah, absolutely. I think I would have to agree to that. I mean, I think I kind of look at it as like being broken, or in a sense like under pressure. And I think that as men, I mean, haven't we felt with, or more so dealt with each one of those?
Yeah.
And it's wild because we can't, or at least we try not to show it. And I'm even thinking about one being a father. I mean, don't even have to be a father. It could be just a brother. It could be a leader at work. All of us leaders in our profession. We might have just had a rough day walking in, but guess what? You got to put on a new face, and you got to turn it up for whatever line of business we got coming up right then, right there. As a father or leader in the workplace, you got to turn a new leaf and be a new you. In a way, I think it is all three, even spiritually. Man, I mean, I can go deep on that one, but it's a lot of things that's going on in our personal lives that we think, we get to praying about it, and we making sure that we putting God first. And I wouldn't disagree in terms of all three of them needing to be a focal point.
yeah,
I feel as though that leading is a physical type thing, because in order to be a leader, you have to be present, right? Recently, in a new role that I'm taking on or doing in my career, like I have to lead from the front. You have to be present. I have to be there. I have to hold people accountable. I have to be accountable for myself too, as well. Being a leader, I'm not going to ask my people to do anything that I'm not going to do. I'm going to be out there, be in the mix with you guys, because who am I to ask you to go do something when I can't do it myself?
yeah.
Or at least be there with you, So
Right.
That's fine.
being a leader, like, you have to be present, you have to be there, and people look up to that. Rome wasn't built in a day,
Yeah.
but being a leader, you have to be present.
Yeah, and you know what's funny though? I think even kind of, I know before we started recording, but we asked you about your name, about Doc, and it kind of hit me because you said your father he's a doctor, and I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, in a sense, think of it that way, right? He's giving you that name. He already did it. He already got it. He's already a doctor, so in a sense, he's already been through that path, right? And now he's kind of, in a sense, like, I don't know if it's mentally or what, but he's passing that over to you. Like, bro, come on, bro. I done led the way. I'm giving you the name. So call me Dr.
Speaking
Bates
that
at this
power
point.
into 'em.
Yeah.
Exactly. Manifestation, kind of like what we was talking about in our last episode for real too. And I think like ultimately it does, like, I look at it from the standpoint it's all equally important. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and say which one out of the three options I've been dealing with lately. So what's been more so personal. So I think like for me, it's been more so of like bleeding in the spiritual realm and the aspect of that. And wounded in that case because like in a sense, man, when it comes to like Sundays, and I know like when it comes to spiritual things, it doesn't always have to be in a church house, but at the end of the day, like, you get it hits different from you watching a service online versus you actually being in the doors and stuff like that. And so, like with me, it's just kind of been like as I'm expanding my family and everything else, like what type of leadership am I portraying spiritually for my family so we could be, sustainable as all of these tough things going on right now. And I've definitely been struggling with that, bro. Like it's easy to kind of like sleep in on Sundays and go to brunch, bro, get a good,
Mm-hmm.
eats in, bro, come back chill and just kind of get ready for the Monday work week again, bro. And so like I think just kind of switching gears a little bit, yes, I think all of them are equally important, but the spiritual aspect is what I would say I've been like quote unquote bleeding from here lately, man.
But I will say, and I agree with you too, Doc. You know, my dad's a pastor, your dad's a pastor, your dad's a preacher. We grew up in the church, but it's something about making that press to go on Sundays.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, whatever we get out of the word is whatever we get out of the word, but it's something about making that press, making that effort to get out of bed, to get dressed, to you get your family ready, to go to the house of God. Like it's the press, and I feel like God rewards you for that press.
do y'all think like as far as Zach and DB, I think Josh actually hit as far as like with him, at least with his leadership and what he has to do in his occupation is definitely from a physical aspect. But like, for y'all too, what would y'all say y'all been at here recently? Is it more so an emotional, spiritual, or physical realm?
For me, man, I would say it's more of an emotional aspect as well as a physical,
For
because
sure.
with tapping into those individuals on the team, man, you got a multitude of different people, and those people come with their own set of problems. And as the leader, you got to help them navigate through them. And as I mentioned, man, sometimes you got to put yourself in a realm or space rather of helping someone do something that technically in your position, but you can't just stand by and just look like, hey, man, that's your task, and I
Yeah.
expect you to get it done. You know what I mean? So I got to get physical, get hands on sometimes, and I don't have a problem doing that. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty in a form of leadership because if a person's looking up to you, you got to be able to come down to that level, whatever level that may be, to get to accomplish, the greater good
Mm-hmm.
accomplished.
Ex-
I've been actually been testing probably the most within the mental space as of lately, and it's funny because a lot of folks are actually seeing it. I mean,
Hmm.
I have instances at work where some of the folks that reported to me, they like, yo, Derek, like that I think if that was me, I probably would have been pissed off. I would have been mad. I would have been upset. But you handle it so calm and you so calm on the surface, just in general. And I'm like, but look, underneath, I'm kicking like a duck. On the surface, yeah, I may look calm, right?
Yeah.
But it's mainly because if I go off, if I get crazy, how would that show towards my troops? I feel like y'all would have to follow suit, right? So I think emotionally, man, a lot of that has been just staying calm, regardless, and then it also kind of leans back into that spiritual aspect to say that I'm prepared for whatever comes my way. I may not want it, right? I mean, I want whatever battle is coming, whatever argument that is trying to steam up and come my way, whatever health issues happen within my family, right? We're prepared regardless. So I think that in that angle, that's something that I kind of battle with at times.
Mhm.
But all in all, I know that we're prepared for whatever may come, and
For
so
sure.
I think definitely emotional, but definitely the spiritual. I feel like it goes hand in hand for me.
Yeah, yeah, I got that. No, and I do appreciate all the transparency, fellas, because I think like we all tapping into like uh I think this next question here too, where it's like I think we all kind of hit on it in a way to where in leadership you sometimes have to like go out and do things for the greater good of the team, get your hands dirty. I
Hmm.
heard that, but then also too like I think within that you kind of suppress your authentic feeling about said situation or why things may not be getting done or in your leadership in itself, like because sometimes you have to go get your hands dirty, does that mean that I'm lacking in a skill to enable somebody else to step into that spot? So there's different angles of how I guess you can look at it in a sense, but
Right.
essentially it's just like whatever that feeling may be, because it's always not a good feeling, we oftentimes like hide that or suppress it to a certain extent. So I think within this next question is pretty much hitting on like why do as men we often need to hide our wounds while leading others,
Because,
or do y'all? You know what I'm saying? Like I guess that's a
because well, I can speak from what I've seen in the past, and being a leader, you supposed to know all the answers. Supposed to. You know what I'm saying? As a
At
leader,
least that's the pressure.
yeah, as a leader
Yeah,
myself,
definitely the pressure.
I don't know all the answers.
Yeah, yeah. There we go.
You know what Kanye say? You ain't got all the answers, Sway.
You should nah.
You ain't
Look,
you
we
ain't
sure
got
don't.
all the answers, Sway.
I think it's a
You know what I'm saying?
misconception though. I think because essentially, like people do feel like that. I do agree. People feel like as a leader, you're supposed to know all the answers, but the reality is that you don't. And I think like
Yeah.
what makes a good leader is also like accepting where you're weak in and pretty much delegating responsibility to somebody who's very inclined in that space.
And
And so it's
and
like that's I was just what I'm saying because when I do agree, but I think like with people who think like that, which is a lot of people, especially in the corporate world, whatever, like yeah, you're expecting to know everything, at least what it seems like. But as you continue to
Mm-hmm.
climb up the ladder, you really see like, man, this Joker don't know
Not
everything. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah,
bleed the
but the
same
but the
blood that
absolutely.
I
thing,
bleed. You know what I mean?
but
Absolutely.
the thing is, if you don't know it, I'm gonna try to outsource,
Right,
insource,
right.
and try to find
Absolutely.
you out the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I might not know right now, but let me get back to you on that. You know, I feel like
Yeah.
that's what
Every
that's
time.
what a good leader does. That's what a good leader
Every
does.
time.
I mean, for
You
me,
know.
I think it depends on like who you are and where you're leading. Like,
Mhm.
especially in the work environment, right? You don't want to come off as incapable or incompetent in front of your
Right, right.
Right.
teams in a leader
Correct.
position. So, and that can go hand in hand for men and women. But for men, there's often a deeper pressure, like on
Mm-hmm.
sports teams, for example. You don't want to be considered the weak link. All of us in the
Mm-hmm.
fraternity, we get step practice. You don't want to be that weak link, right? So we've had
I didn't
or
want to go down
heard the
that.
stories rather about athletes playing through injuries. Some of them serious. Like you hear the stories about those guys playing through injuries or
Yeah.
sometimes serious ones without anyone around them knowing what's going on, and that's just the
Mm-hmm.
competitive pressure. So you don't want to lose your position, or you don't want to affect the morale on the
I
team.
see what you're
But
saying.
that same pressure shows up in a marriage too, right? We hide our wounds because we don't want to seem weak in front of our spouse or our kids, right? So
Yeah.
we've been taught that showing pain in some way is also the same thing as showing a sign of weakness. And that belief then in return follows us to every room that we lead in. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's the pressures from outside that's affecting us in so many different ways. It's like a multifaceted thing.
I think over time though it's a learned trait. I think initially it's an inherited trait as
Mm-hmm.
men. But over time it's learned that good leaders ask questions too. Good leaders don't know it all.
That's
And I know
correct.
for me, I wouldn't want to my if me and my wife thought the exact same on everything, I don't know if that would be an amazing, also good for our family. Because honestly, sometimes I think of it as like she kind of levels me out at times, and at times I will level her out too because we have different perspectives on certain things. And I think the same thing happens in the workplace, as a friend group, where I don't want to hire all people just like me. I need somebody to kind of challenge the status quo at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know my folks' strengths, right? Just like I know my wife, I know her strengths. So I know when to go to her. And I know when, like, I just need to relieve myself from whatever this is and pass it to the next person, which goes back to Doc's point of delegation, where I know that I don't know the answer, but I know somebody that do. And for me, I feel like that is a good leadership quality. And not to mention, I feel like I do really good with, and it's me bragging on myself, right? But I feel like I do really good with like bringing certain people to the forefront to give them the recognition that they deserve because they knew that answer, or at least I'll give them that public shout out for providing me with that answer, that feedback. But look, I challenge us men to not feel bad about saying, hey, look, let me take that one back, and I'm gonna get back with you, because I would rather say that than give the wrong answer, and then that answer is what sticks, because I'm gonna have to go back and correct myself anyway. Yeah, so that, and I will say that's something that I've learned probably over the last 2 or 3 years. Like, bro, you don't know everything, dog. So you need to go figure it out and then come back.
Sometimes you got to follow the people that you lead in. You know what I mean? Because that person is on your team. That dynamic of the team is there specifically to have different shapes of people, different personalities to actually make you look like a good leader. You can't
Mm-hmm.
be a good leader in
Mm-hmm.
a sense without a good following. So if I can't
Yeah.
follow whomever may be taking the lead at that moment, I'm
Right.
not a good leader.
Yeah, no, I feel that, and
Absolutely.
I definitely think that like when it comes to especially me, everybody might be different, but with me, like I show my emotion all in my face, everything else, and so like if I'm wounded or if I'm like my wife gonna know, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom's gonna call me out the blue, or just like son, I'm just you like so I think honestly like I'm not gonna even if I try to hide I'm not gonna hide it for the people who really
Yeah.
know me and people who really like and lock with me and step. And so like essentially, as men, yes, I do feel like we try to, put it on the back burner because we want to stay strong for the better good of the team, for example, in the workspace, or just our household, for ourselves and our own sanity, for real, for real. But I also think too, like if you have, people in your corner who really rock with you and know you, like the authentic you, it's really not going to be something that's hidden, man. You wouldn't even want to, because that weight that you carrying is just so heavy sometimes, bro, that it's really like is really no benefit in carrying it. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
exposing like what you actually have to work on. You're pretty much, I guess what I'm trying to say is prolonging your own growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
by
You in your
by
own way.
trying to mask it. You know what I mean?
In
Like
your own way.
if the more I try to mask it, the more it's gonna be very apparent to people that that's a weakness that he has. So I might as well put it at the forefront and let's work through this thing together so I can grow.
And plus, I'm bad with lying, bro. When it gets
Yeah,
to the
bro.
point, I
Like
gotta,
I'm terrible at it. I'm just
I
like,
start
He
yeah,
said, I can't
sweating.
fake it,
you
man.
know what I'm
I can't
saying?
fake it.
Yeah.
No, I ain't do it. I'm looking all
Yeah,
crazy at the
right.
same
Or
time.
especially if you have to like
Well, it's all
explain
in
the
your
answer, because
chest, man.
I also feel like if I'm explaining it and if I gotta explain a lie to like, especially in like the workplace or something, bro, don't give me this, because now I start rambling and
I
we know that
start
shit ain't
just
true at
Start
that
stuttering.
point.
So you
Start
said you was
stuttering.
sick, but we saw you on IG at
No, because I was in Cabo, goddamn, I was in Cabo, and then I caught it after I caught the flight back. Nah,
okay.
nah, you ain't lying though. That's a fact. All right,
but
good.
now in a sense, I got a question for us though. Why do we fear the vulnerability of that though, as leaders? Like, what is it that we're scared of? Is it? I know Zach, he hit on the strength piece, right? Like we don't want to feel or look weak in a sense, but why do we? Is that the specific reason? Is it
I
because
think
we
that's
don't want to
it.
feel like?
You don't, if you put into this leadership role, you want to live up to that leadership role. And if you can't answer the question, or you maybe make a mistake or an error, you're not going to be that leader that everybody wants you to be or what you thought you were. So, you know,
And
um,
things weighted heavier too, bro. Especially people that look like us. Like, and sorry to say it, but it's true. And so this margin of error is shorter, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to that. And so you definitely, like what Josh talking about, I agree, because you definitely gotta like it
it's a
seem
little
like
bit.
anyways you gotta go above and beyond, but you want to perform well. And for me, I think it's the insecurity of just like
Yeah.
failing. And I don't it's you're a grown man and just like,
Oof.
we
Yeah.
can go into it, but when you really know that the opportunity, you have ambition for one, but then the opportunity is one that's really gonna like make sure your family is good, or make sure that you've hit like a personal aspiration of yours or achievement or goal. A lot of that, man, is valuable. You know what I'm saying? So the margin of error is
Mm-hmm.
smaller. You want to do well. But I think for me, to answer your question, DB, is the insecurity piece, bro. That's why it hits me hard. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be perceived as somebody that is incompetent. That's just, a personal, I guess, thing that is for me, to answer your question.
I said piggyback on both of those guys, man. One, the insecurity aspect of it, but like if you're a part of a corporation, whether that's in the private sector, corporate world, law enforcement, whatever you want to put it, when you're in those leadership positions, everybody's banking on you, and with that understanding, you know that you're expendable. You know what I mean? So if you got a family that's looking up to you, you got your own personal things that you care about, things that you finance off of this position,
Yeah.
understanding that you are expendable, and that fear within itself is one demon or whatever you want to put, one boulder that's looking down you at any given time. Like there's going to be somebody better than me one day, right? So you got to
Mm-hmm.
perform the best while you're here. Do the best while I'm here, because
Yeah.
all of us are expendable. That's the hard truth.
Yeah.
Man,
That's true.
I tell you what, on like a little sidebar, man. I just got back in the gym, trying to be focused, trying to
There it
be
is.
headstrong, trying to get back at it. I've been going for about 3 days straight now, man. And I started following this page on Instagram. It's a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
firefighters in the gym. I think they in like Philly, man. These dudes is off the chain. Off the chain. They got a dude called black dude, big buff black dude with braids and
Yeah.
whatnot. Then they got this dude got a hottie. Y'all seen
Yeah.
him?
Yeah,
Nah,
big tall
I
dude.
Nah.
haven't, but I'm gonna check it out though.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
gonna
to
make
carry
sure I
my
send it
ass
to
in there
y'all
myself.
boys, man. These dudes, when I say they push each other, you know what I'm
Hell
saying,
yeah.
in the gym, and it's amazing. Unk is like the big dog, you know what I'm saying? He's talking junk to everybody in there. But it's just like, if you go to that gym, like, you gotta be willing to put in that work or they're gonna kick you out.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta try. You know what I'm saying? And there was one scene that I saw. There's one of the guys in there. Like I said, they're all firefighters, but there's one scene that I saw where the guy was I don't know if he was benching or something like that, but his son was right there, and he was lifting some weights or whatnot, and he was lifting and he was lifting, and he dropped the weight. He was like, "I'd rather die than to see my son to see me fail." Man, that junk was crazy, man. That junk was crazy.
Yeah,
That
she
junk was
was.
crazy. I don't know if he had two more sets left to go or whatever the case may be, and I'm gonna make sure I send it to y'all guys because it was just like he was just bro. He was just going in, bro. That joint, like I ain't even got a son. All I got is my dog. But for y'all that are fathers on this podcast, man, like that was really dope, bro. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he went up there, dapped his son up. He was like, "I'd rather die than my son to see me fail." You know what I'm saying?
That's
And we
tough.
talking
That's
about in the
tough.
gym.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Is it this Skull the Legend dude? Skull or something like that?
Nah,
I feel like you sent me this joint, Josh.
I'm pretty
I
sure
feel
I
like you
did. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I.
But you know what, man? It's so funny, bro, because maybe I like to challenge the status quo, right? Maybe I like to challenge, like, Zach, you know me well, bro.
Hmm.
And when it comes to that stuff like that, I'm like, me failing is me trying, in a sense.
Absolutely.
Like I've tried. And low key, the pre-workout might not be enough pre-workout, god damn it.
Right. I need
And so
600
I feel
milligrams.
like, yeah, right. I need about 6 or 7, 650. But I mean, but low key is like, also I think that's also a mental thing too, where it's like we can't fail, bro. You can. It's okay.
Yeah.
And
It's
but the
all
biggest
right.
thing is as long as you coming back and you trying it again, maybe you picking up where you left off. Maybe you did fail at a certain thing, but you gonna try to work out. And look at you, Josh, for example. You've been low for a little while now. I'm just playing, but you back in the gym now, and I think that's something that you should make sure that you give yourself an applaud of, right?
Right.
Applaud yourself for getting back in the gym. Right now, you probably can't bench 315, but I can guarantee you that if you keep benching, you're gonna get to 315. So all in all,
I
I don't know.
used
I mean, maybe I look at it. I look at it a little different. Yeah, no, we all used to. I used to too. Goddamn. But all in all, bro, as long as you continue to build yourself up, man, I give my kids the green light to fail as long as you tried the best you can. Especially you in that junk crying, shit. You done showed me.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
ain't failing at nothing. You ain't trying at nothing either. You know what
that's
I'm
true.
saying? You ain't
Absolutely.
gonna win everything.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
gonna
I but
get
I, I do get the
lost.
point though. Yeah, I definitely get the point though. But if it's something that I'm damn good at, I better not fail. Right? I think
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's the point where they get into it because them dudes they good in the gym. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if I'm
Yeah.
talking about the same one you talking about, Josh, them dudes big dog. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They get
they
at it.
better not drop that bench.
They they
They
they
get
they
at it.
get it in, bro. But
Yeah.
but just and I'm still looking for it. Y'all can continue
Okay.
talking about. I gotta find that piece so y'all can know what I'm talking about, man.
Eating them up, eating them alive.
This is a good question too, fellas. I think that I'm seeing here. So this one is, I guess, just to kind of continue on here as far as with the leadership round. And I guess it doesn't have to be specifically leadership. I think we can make it more, generalized as well. But this one says, is it possible to lead effectively while broken? Or do you just perform leadership until we heal?
Mm,
That's tough.
mm.
Mm.
That's a tough question right there, bro. For a lot of
Doc,
different
Doc,
reasons.
let me. I would like to hear that from you, bro. Let me see what you think. What's your thoughts on that one, bro?
I would say majority of brothers perform leadership until they heal. And the reason I say that is because a lot of things start to be routine, for men. Men, we're logical anyways. And I think like when we try to leading comes organization, it comes structure and all of these different things, in order to really optimize that level of leadership quality. And so with that though, things start to become very much routine and it's just like, okay, this is expected of me. This is the obligation at this point. Even if I feel a certain way, even if, the journey and me like getting to whatever that set goal is, it can be daunting at times. It can be isolated at times. A lot of that suppression that we were talking about starts to build in. And so we're not necessarily healing. I think, what kind of drives us is the not necessarily recognition as far as like from everybody, but just the people who means or who you're doing that going through that journey for essentially. And so I think like yeah, a lot of men, I would say we definitely perform leadership until we heal. The other aspect of it is that like a lot of people don't know what healing looks like. You know what I'm saying? Or healthy healing. You know, I could suppress it by rolling up and smoking something, or, you know, drinking, or whatever the case may be. But that's just, you know, essentially not necessarily healing fully. And so, yeah, because of just the lack of, I guess, like prioritization of self, you know, for a lot of men, because they have different
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities and sometimes you just kind of get to the back burner. I think we definitely like utilize things like leadership or some type of quality in a way to where it just keeps us motivated because we want to feel like, you know, we are being influential and, you know, the things that we tapped into. So yeah, that's just my take though. I mean, it'll be ideal for, you know, you to do that effectively while broken, but I think is really the how as it pertains to each man, and that part is if it's a question mark, you're not necessarily really gonna be able to do that effectively, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I think one of the things you hit on when you said, like, as a man, you put yourself in a leadership position, whether that's in a relationship, house, or at work. You often sometimes put everybody before you, and eventually you get to the bottom and you give
Yeah,
everybody so much of you, you don't have
so
anything. So,
much. Yeah,
I think it's possible to lead while broken. You know, we're all human. You know, none of us are exempt from pain, loss, or hardship. We go through highs and we go through lows. But if you're
yeah.
leading while broken, you got to give yourself some grace, you know, and you have to be willing to know when it's time to take a step back. You know, a lot
Hmm.
of people never heal, as Doc hit on, and it's not because they don't want to, but as Doc said, it's because they don't know how to. But I'm going to go a little step further. It's because they don't give themselves the space to heal, right?
Hmm.
So you can't keep pouring from an empty cup. You got to be willing to know that if I'm leading someone, I got to be willing to do the work on myself in
Yeah,
order for me to
Mm-hmm.
be my best self. So healing while broken is cool. Sometimes we got to fight through the pain, but you got to know when grace isn't enough and just say, I got to take a step back.
yeah. Facts, facts. That's heavy.
I was told by a person, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna watch this one day, whenever we post this. Talk about giving grace. You know,
Mm,
giving grace to certain issues, or giving grace to certain situations, or giving grace to people. Even grace has an expiration date.
mm,
That's tough. That's tough.
No, absolutely. I think so many good leaders lead or have led while carrying like some pain or some kind of grief and insecurities. And I think for me, at least, in fact, I think brokenness and sometimes even depression at times, right? It kind of deepens your empathy for other people, your patience, and also your emotional intelligence. I think you going through something kind of lets you know that, like, all right, cool. Everybody else, somebody else might be going through the same thing in a way, right? And that's a way of, in a sense of like leading while being broken. And so yeah, I've seen many times that, you know, I know for me, my mom, she passed away in 2020. That I had like a week off, but right after that, we was right back at it, you know. And I think that for me, I think an example would be like if somebody came to me at work after that, especially after that incident took place, and they say, "Hey, my mom, she's sick, bro. What? Like, you don't even have to tell me. Like,
mm,
that's a priority. Family is first, and it's only because I've been there before in terms of losing my mom. So I think that me being broken in that aspect has made me have a better sense of leadership for people that are going through certain things, especially whose mom is still here. Where I'm like, I fully understand that because my mom was here. You wouldn't have to. I ain't telling nobody. I ain't got to ask nothing. I'm telling you at that point.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
you know, as an adult, I recommend that my folks that reporting to me, and as a leader, you know, don't ask me. You know, tell me that you got to go and do something, and I fully understand. I'm gonna pick up the slack from there. You know, so yeah, I've definitely seen instances where I've led while broken, and I've used that in a sense of bettering my leadership.
yeah. That hits on a lot of different things, fellas, and I think like it also depends on the level of leadership you're at, right? Like we look at like
Mm-hmm.
these celebrities, for example, and like how a lot of them, like a lot of greats, even like with the pressures that be, you know, with like running the show and not delegating, not doing these things, like having so much of a hands-on approach, bro. You get so burnt out, the bro, that it's like not even at that point like a musical thing, but a physical body shutdown, bro. And so like, you
mm-hmm.
know, you also got to think about it from the standpoint, man, of like, you know, as far as me leading, man, I want to make sure that I have my ducks in a row, bro. But at the end of the day, you know, if I gotta put somebody in a position to where it's not only gonna help, you know, them succeed personally, but the betterment of my business or whatever I have, I'm gonna do that, bro. You know, it's we gotta play a longevity game. People mad at Bron,
Yeah.
but That Joker in year 23. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And still
right.
dominating. Because
Unrealistic, bro.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's because you got to look at the big picture. Well, you don't have to, but as far as like for me and how I operate, man, definitely looking at the big picture, bro. So yeah, man, doing it while you broken is different, but it's definitely possible. But I definitely think that we all agree here that a lot of people is definitely performing leadership until we heal and figure that out at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will say too, definitely take that step away if you have to, though. Right?
Yeah,
Unplugging is so critical.
Yeah,
Even when you leading while bleeding in a sense, or you going through some things, it's so important to step away and just get some
what's unplugging
downtime.
look like for y'all though? Like what does that even mean in this day and age? Like what
Yeah.
does it mean to unplug?
Just taking some time to yourself. Unplugging for me, man, is literally like I got it right behind me. Hopping on a motorcycle, man, getting out there, zoning out. Riding the country road,
Feel that.
man. Trying to get back into the gym, man. That's an unplug for me, man.
Yeah.
Uh, just going to a nature center close by my house, man. Just going out there, just walking some trails or something like that, man. Just unplugging, bro.
I
There's so
got you,
much stuff. There's so much stuff on social media, man.
bro.
It's
Too
just
much.
crazy, man.
yeah.
It's
Too
Too
just
much
much.
crazy,
distraction.
man. Man, I
Yeah.
seen. I ain't gonna call no names, but man, I seen a certain preacher,
Call the
man,
name, Josh.
riding in on a Tesla Cybertruck and getting his haircut on stage, man. I'm just like, man, what have we come to,
Oh
man?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
I
what's
posted it on my story, man. I was just like, man, I can't rock with that, man. I can't
yeah.
rock. I can't rock with that.
I can't either.
Getting your haircut on stage, man, while you supposed to be preaching, like it's time out for this stuff, man.
You fall
Yeah.
victim to them social media, man.
Somebody got to unplug that.
Yeah.
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 Pulling
He
pulling
need to
pulling the
unplug.
Cybertruck, man.
You
The
need to
Cybertruck
Unplug
unplug.
the
is crazy.
clippers. Unplug them
The
clippers, goddamn
Cybertruck is
it.
crazy, bro. The Cybertruck is crazy. And I
Yeah,
posted it
that's
on my
wild.
story, and a lot of people commented on that joint. That was like, yeah, we been cutting him off. You know what I'm saying? And I used to rock with bruh, but like
Nowadays,
it comes to a point where you
Yeah.
like
Hey Doc, I know where you going, bro.
it takes away from the message, and it's all about self.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, speaking
It,
of self, though, to
It's
answer
no
that
more
question,
him. It's just
unwinding.
self.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being self and selfish, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes you got to be selfish for yourself. I'm not saying in no way
absolutely.
that individual
yeah,
was doing something for himself. That was just for the likes or the like of him having that notoriety. But again, circling back, like being able to unpack and have that time for yourself, you got to be selfish for yourself at
yeah.
times, and that's not
I see what you're
maliciously.
saying.
You have to 100% say that I have to take the time out for Derek to show up for my family. Because if Derek don't take the time out for himself, Zach, Doc, Josh, whoever we are, to our listeners, if you don't take that time out to selfishly say, I know I got practice for my baby boy at 6 p.m., but until then, I got to do something to get myself right so I can physically and presently be there for them and show up.
What's
Man,
unplugging for you, like DB?
next week, bro, is my birthday. Again, I know we already established last time that I'm the oldest one on this cast, but I'll be I'll be 35 next week, man.
What Kevin Hart say? Damn.
Boy, you
I'm sorry.
for real.
Hey, but
I got
I'll
all this
take
gray
that,
hair,
bro.
but you the for real.
I'll take that. I'll take that. But I'm unk by age. Y'all definitely got the spirit though, Doc and Josh.
Yeah,
And
you're
Zach,
right.
you
That's
You're
too,
right,
right about
Josh.
that.
Josh.
Josh,
You're
Yeah.
right
we
about
gonna talk
that.
about
But no, next week, man, my
There you
birthday,
go.
bro, and I told my wife that for my 35th, I just wanna I wanna unplug. And my level of unplugging is I'm going downtown to Dallas. No wife, no kids. Obviously if they want to pull up they can. I'm not gonna tell them no. But it's
Yeah,
just
you
gonna be
is.
me in a hotel. Just you said what, bro?
Yeah, you
He
is.
said, "Yeah, you is."
You
What's
gotta
that? If
be
they,
selfish
yeah,
at
I
that
mean,
time,
all
bro.
right, you know what? Honestly, no lie. Right? Let me backtrack because I did tell them that I want them to not be invited. But again, if it comes down to it, we know my family come first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
But
sure.
all in all, my goal, bro, I asked for the room on the tallest floor in
There
downtown
you go.
Dallas. I want the views. I want quiet and just to get my thoughts together and get organized, bro. I think for me, that's literally like my solitude, my quiet is a new level of unplug. I mean, just last year, me, Josh, and Zach, we went to the Bahamas. A couple years before that, we was in Vegas, and we bumped into you out there, Doc. So I mean, a lot of I guess there's different ways of looking at unplugging, but this one is my first complete unplug, and bro, I'm counting down the days, dog. Like I
Yeah,
can't, I can't wait. But it's just more so just not to be a father, not to be a husband, just for a few days. But it's just more so to focus on Derek, and get everything together, bro. So that's gonna be my level of unplugging,
Count down the days to
as
be
going
the
forward. Hey, Josh, bro, you know
Count
what? Look again.
down the days to be man.
I'm gonna take it, bro. I'm gonna take it because look, even I got the gray hairs popping in and every. Y'all can't see it on. Yeah, you can. There you go.
Boy got
I
the
got.
salt and pepper going. Yeah.
Hey, look.
Lemon pepper.
I didn't.
Salt
This
and pepper.
ain't. This is done. We done over here, bro.
Hey,
Hey,
man,
Doc, you ain't too far.
BB, take the
I
hat.
ain't coming back.
BB, take the hat off.
No, bro. I'm not doing it
Take the hat
again.
off.
still
You know, we got these hair install kits. We can get
bro,
you
you
some
know what?
cornrows. We can get you
It's
some
all good,
cornrows.
bro. Because you know what, my wife, she usually rub that junk. But let me.
There you
go
go.
into detail.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a man that can get you a hair install kit, DB.
Hey, bro, you know what? I'm good, bro. The waves was back in my 20s. The sharp headline was definitely like mid 20s.
Yeah.
It started
you
fading
had
around about
hair
27,
I
28.
remember you had hair back in college, man.
Yeah, I
He in his
did.
Melvin
I still can
stage,
grow
man.
it.
College days
Yeah.
switched
You said what?
fast, man.
He in his
And so does
Melvin
your
stage,
hair.
man.
Baby
He cooking
boy.
I
eggs,
take
baby.
it, bro.
You know what I mean? You want some eggs?
Hey,
You feel
hey,
me?
this what hate look like over there. God,
Hey, no,
damn.
hey, look, this is love.
Nah,
bro.
yeah, I know.
I said, nah, he didn't hear what I said.
Bro, if I ever see you with a fade, DB, I'll be weak, bro.
Hey, bro, hold on.
Baldy,
But let's just know that I can grow my hair, fellas.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
can.
My
I
man
just
ain't losing
choose
his
to
head.
cut it.
You got
Yeah.
I
chose
you,
to
I
cut
got
it.
you.
Yeah. Look, I'm just agile, dog. That's it.
Hey, look, yeah.
Man,
I'm just
and
agile.
we know if you come up with cornrows, you know you got a hair install.
Yeah, that's a problem. That'll be a problem.
I got a whole lace front.
That'll be a problem. But nah, hey, the lace fronts ain't looking too bad out here though.
They blending.
DB,
real
don't you
good.
ever put that?
Hey,
put that on.
my
real,
question though
bro.
is like, how do you know when you need to take a break? Like, how do you know that it's time to pause?
Your body tells you, bro. Your body
Not
can
all the
tell
time. Not all the time, man. Sometimes
I be irritable, man.
You don't know when to pause. I was getting ready to. I'm mean. I get real
Yeah.
mean, man.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I can, and I got to take a step back and look at and question myself. You know.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it take that right person, like you said, your wife know you, my wife know me, man. It's that what's wrong with you. Then you got to self reflect. You know, take that time to unpack. Maybe it's just going in the bathroom and flushing the toilet, act like you did something there, but it's just you stepping out of the room, and then coming back in there and saying like, you know what, I was tripping. For real. Because sometimes it's
Well,
our
you just-
pride to get in
yeah,
the way.
true. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
You don't want to go and say I was tripping and come back in. You got to walk out of the room and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
What's up, baby?
I'm back.
Did you wash your hands?
No.
Oh,
I'm definitely the same way, Zach. I'm really the same way. I get irritable, bro. Like I get just like short answered and all of that, man. And I definitely have to check myself too. I get the same like questions, bro. Like, you good? Like, are you? And you know, your first instinct is like, yeah. But even how you say it, you know, gives off the indication like, bro, you're not good. So I get the question
Yeah.
again. You sure you good? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, let me take heed. You know what I'm saying? Let me
Right.
take a step back, like you said, get away a little bit and stuff like that. And I mean, too, like I said, when you have people in your corner too, bro, you don't really have to. It's really when you start like being something that's not yourself, man, to where they catch wind of that, man, and they check in, or you know, they sense it for you, just kind of plan something for you, man. Even if it's like, yo, like my wife gonna holler at your wife, whatever the case may be. And you know, we gonna step out and get a couple drinks. We gonna have like a little god time, whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, it's a combination of that I feel, but it's definitely when I know when I'm at that point is when I'm like very much short tempered. You know, everything is very much bothering me. I can't really put my finger on, you know, what's really going on. And yeah, at that point, I'm like, all right, let me get out, get some wind. You know, let me holler at the boys for a little bit and unwind, whatever the case may be.
for sure. I think we all get a little irritated. You know what I'm saying?
But it's a lot, bro.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot, and I can't imagine. Like, you know, I could imagine because I've been in a similar situation. But you know, you have children, and you know, you have a significant other, you have a wife. You know, trying to wear all those many hats, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
On top of working a full-time job.
It definitely get there, and I think that's why it's kind of like, you know, with those check-ins of like I think we talked about this in episode 1 of just kind of like, hey bro, you good? Just having that little check-in, even if it's 5 minutes, bro, anything, man, because just hearing that sometimes can not necessarily like take your mind off of it, but like keep you going in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody identified that. I don't necessarily have to unpack or unload because sometimes, a lot of times for me, I don't even want to be a burden to other people. Not to even think
Yeah,
that they gonna think that, but it's love there. But if you told me like, dang, bro, like something going on with family member or you just experienced some grief or loss, bro, I'm not gonna unpack on you, bro. Even though like it may take their mind off of what they got going on, it's more so of just like, nah, I respect that too much. And so like, yeah, bro, I think like it's one of those things of persistence through all of it, but then also to checking yourself when you're suppressing too much because once you do that, as we know, bro, it's going to explode at some point in time, bro. You're a ticking time bomb.
absolutely.
So, like, I guess my question to y'all is like, what's the difference between that when we talk about persistence or resilience and like suppression? Is there a difference?
Big time.
And if there is, like, what is that? What does that mean to y'all? How do you know where to draw them?
I think resilience is, as we hit on a lot, I think Josh hit on the first is just showing up, right? But that's showing up no matter what, through every roadblock, every rejection, every setback. Um, it's the commitment to just keep pushing forward, but pushing forward with logic and reason and intact. We talked about crashing out in the YNs last time.
Yeah, yeah.
So pushing forward with that, logic and reason. And I think suppression, on the other hand, is blocking out something that actually needs to be addressed. Sometimes we do it unconsciously. Other times we know exactly what we're avoiding. We're just don't want to face it. I think Doc hit on like people using alcohol or drugs. We can go a little bit deeper. Some people use overworking. Oh, I'm working this overtime shift, or I got off work, I'm gonna go do yard work, and you trying to avoid your wife or avoid your kids at all costs. You overworking yourself, man. Or
That's a
even
fact.
going to the gym, right? And some people might look at that as like escapism. That's just another form of suppression, in my opinion. You're like jumping from city to city, passport boys, passport girls, person to person, the serial romantics, the situation to situation. And that's just really avoiding what's really going on inside. So, in my opinion, in my own leadership, I draw the line at truth, right? If I know I'm running from something, I try my best to stop it and face it. So, resilience doesn't mean that you got to ignore the pain because it's going to hurt. We're all
Yeah.
immune. We all going to face hardships. But it
Hmm.
means that carrying that with intention. So without letting it consume you or mislead others. Because that's a big difference for somebody saying, you okay? I'm all right. And then the moment you're not okay, the moment you're not all right, you just snap. You ain't even
Yeah.
realize you knock a little man over
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
accident. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's word.
You can't suppress it.
I
Look,
can't
I
even
look at
follow up with that one. That was good.
Don't knock little man over.
is over, but hey, but I
I don't
think
got no
resilience, man,
kids.
is just adapting to whatever that specific issue is. It's adapting to like whatever just the issue is in general, just adversity, right? But that suppression piece. The suppression, man, I think that's sometimes where that pause come from, right? Sometimes we suppress so much, and then that's when we like, bro, we need to pause, we need to relax, and then from there, what happens after doing that is you start unloading. So I think that even this piece, Zach, you said you call it truth. That take time too, in terms of learning that, like learning that it's okay to be able to say your truth, and to be honest, everybody. And it's funny. This quote was back in the day. People can't stand the truth. Some people can't handle it. Some people can't handle your truth. So all in all, it's still you gotta still be kind of like selective in terms of who you sharing that truth with or how much of the truth you sharing. But you don't want to be lying, right? You don't want to share enough of the truth where it's still considered a lie. So find your happy space, right? Find your happy space in terms of who you're delivering that message to. I try my best to stay away from anything that I have to potentially suppress because for me that's even more weight. And I've been in a space where I literally walked in the house one day. I thought I had a lot of weight on me, just not physical weight, but just like a lot of stress, like on my shoulders. And so and honestly, that was the last time I was like, bro, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep holding this type of stuff in. So and go from there. So I don't recommend the suppression piece. I know it's gonna happen. Just as men in general, we carry a lot and we don't want to share everything. But if we can spill that truth. Do your thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's
That was
definitely
deep.
heavy. Yeah, that was heavy segment. But I think we got through it, boys. A lot of great content. I think, as far as just the level of transparency and, the different angles and perspectives that we use to attack some of these questions, man. So to our listeners, man, hopefully it was helpful in a sense of just like if you can, relate to whatever perspective that was provided, not to say again, like a right or wrong thing. A lot of these things we talking about is very situational, but the common denominator is just trying to see it through and being 1% each day and just having that level of progression. So yeah, I think that's really all that we have for this section here. Unless y'all boys have any other topics or questions y'all got that we can potentially cook up for the people.
No, I was just saying, man. Episode 3, man. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, that was a good one, fellas.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
for
Look,
sure, man.
so many different perspectives, man. And look, out of the four of us, different perspectives, we see things differently, but we learning from each other. And hopefully it's something that you as listeners and viewers can also take into mind as well. Know you have your own perspective, right? I'll continue to lean on that, but also lean into a couple of other fellas that can also kind of guide you along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for tuning in to Mic Check, man. Check in with us while we check in on you.
Yes, sir.
Right.
We out of here.
Episode 3. Stay tuned for episode 4.